Swing and a miss. Struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of baseball.
And the Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh man, and Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
What is up, everybody? What's happening? It is Dibes, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to Party on Broad. Party on Broad is part of the Painted Lines Media Network. If you're watching us here on YouTube, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Today, we are doing a Sixers mock draft. We're picking our favorite picks for each and every single pick in the first and second round. And joining us today is my man, Austin. You know him on Twitter at NBA Crow. What's up, Austin? Man of a few words. All right. Also joining us today is my man, Tiago. You know him on Twitter at Tscabia. What up, Tiago?
Man, I'm watching my alma mater here at Penn State get absolutely slaughtered by Maryland, 28-7 at halftime. So things are not looking up for sure.
James Franklin, what a guy. What a guy.
Whoa. If the Eagles are looking for a defensive coordinator, definitely do not look at Penn State. I'll tell you that much.
All right. Yeah, so today we are just going to pretend, because as of right now, the Sixers have 5 picks, 1 in the first round, 4 in the second round. We're just kind of going to, make this kind of a just a discussion about who we would take at each selection. And I'll lead us off. Let's start off with number 21. This one is hard for me, guys. You obviously know. My first loves. When we started this in March and April, it was like love at first sight. I'm talking about Tyrell Terry, and I'm talking about Kira Lewis. So this really hurts, guys. But for the sake of being realistic, I'm going to go in a different direction and go with Desmond Bane. The 3 things I'm looking for in this draft, and we're going to talk about it throughout this show: playmakers, shooters, and ball handlers. And Desmond Bane kind of checks off a lot of those boxes for the Sixers. First up, shooting. This guy shot 44.2% from 3 from deep his senior season. He shot 43.3% during his entire career in college. So if you're going to play next to Ben, if you're going to play next to Joel, you got to be able to put the ball in the net on the perimeter and get it off quickly, which he does. So Desmond Bane took 6.5 3-point attempts per game, 11 per 100 possessions. A lot of those came in the catch and shoot, which is vital to play with the Philadelphia 76ers. 75th percentile in the catch and shoot. But Bane does a lot more than just shoot, like 3.9 assists per game last season. So he's not a black hole in offense. He can keep the ball moving around the perimeter, which we know Doc is going to want to have on his offense. So a lot of versatility on shooting. He's a playmaker. He's got top tier shooting. I do like Bane, but I would be lying, guys, if I was saying this guy is in the same tier as guys like Kira Lewis and Tyrell Terry, or Aaron Nesmith, who I really like a lot. So it's like from here to here. If Desmond Bane was my pick at number 21, I'd probably grade it a B. Let's go to Austin. You're up, man.
Can it be the same guy you picked?
Yeah, it's fine.
Now you're taking mine.
I think we're at a consensus, for better or for worse. I would go with Bane. I think he can do first of all, I think he has limitless range, and I don't think he's very conscious about the shots that he takes, which for a pure shooter is a good thing. You don't really want them to think too much. You just want them to catch, and if they're comfortable, let it go. He has a quick stroke, can shoot from anywhere. He is not like the most athletic guy, I don't think, but I think he kind of adds a dynamic to his game with the passing. He's a really good passer. As good of a shooter as he's been reputed to be, his passing is also pretty impressive. So I think that can sort of create this unpredictability of his game and can kind of help his team in a bunch of different ways. And I think he has a chance to be a really good role player in this league. I know Mike O'Connor compared him, or Kevin O'Connor compared him to who's the guy? The Caruso, Alex Caruso.
Caruso?
Yeah, I didn't see that either. I was confused by it. I was confused by it, but I was like, okay. So I mean, I'm not a big Alex Caruso guy, so that kind of made me wonder. But upon further review, I would definitely say Desmond Bane for me is the guy that I think if he's there, you got to take.
The athleticism is definitely a concern. 6'4" wingspan. I remember doing his video scouting report, and all I could think about, like, if that dude was like 2 steps faster and just like a little more explosive, like that guy would be a lottery pick. I liked what I saw. Just the physical limitations are real. What about you, Tiago?
Yeah, it's funny you said Alex Caruso because like if you watch in the playoffs, like the Lakers had him on Damian Lillard, they had him on like James Harden a lot of the times. I don't see like Desmond Bane being that type of player at all. Like he's pretty stiff to what Austin was saying. He's not as quick. So that does not mean he's a good, bad defensive player by any stretch of imagination. I actually think he's a plus defender. I also had Desmond Bane. So I guess the three of us kind of agreed on that reason. My reasons were specifically around what Daryl Morey wants out of this lineup, right? So if you think about what Houston was and what Daryl Morey brings, he wants to go small and he wants to have lineup flexibility with his squad. So what?
Not you.
Not agreeing. Oh, you got a friend there?
I think you have a relative or something happening going on here. Krell should take a shot for all of his bad takes.
Shout out.
You're gonna be pissing for a long time.
Shout out Kevin for his promotion. Kevin's my day job and colleague, and he got a promotion this week, so he's all up in it. He's all celebrating. So let him have it.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
For a second,
Anyway.
I thought that's like Krell. Oh my god, Jesus! I'm not even drinking. So.
We multiply like bunnies in this family. Okay?
All right, go ahead, Tiago. I'm sorry.
So, like when I watched Desmond Bane, one of the things that stood out for me is he's a really strong player, like strong physically, stout defender. So, what I was trying to project Desmond Bane in the NBA, like this is a guy who can probably play like perhaps even small forward. Gives you the ability, to go smaller and keep that shooting element on the court. I think that's really interesting. I mean, he's a phenomenal shooter. His volume nearly doubled since his sophomore year, and the efficiency, like you said, Chris, it's there, like 44% consistently in the last couple of years. So you watch him in the combine, the pre-combine workouts, he looks phenomenal. And I think he's exactly what the Sixers want out of that spot. I think that senior guy is going to come in, he's going to know where to be on the court. You have a short window to get these guys ready to play. You don't have a freshman kind of running around with his head cut off. So I think that's a sound value pick for the Sixers. Now, do I think, if a guy like Cole Anthony's on the board at 21, is Desmond Bane the pick? I think it's worth discussing because these guys are separate levels of, in my opinion, of prospects. So
I'll go Cole Anthony. I would definitely go Cole Anthony. I think he brings the offensive punch that we need. That the streakiness of Cole Anthony is a little concerning because the Sixers cannot bring another streaky shooter. We cannot deal with that again and again and again.
Rocco 3.
Yeah, right. For real. Tobias, like it just goes on and on. Like it would be nice to have someone that can shoot consistently month to month on this team for once. But I will go with Cole Anthony there. What about you, Austin?
Well, I thought I thought we went with Desmond Bane. With that,
we did. I'm just saying, if it was like one or the other.
Choose. I kind of have a little bit of this sort of not a fear, but like a reservation of like, what if you draft a point guard? And it's sort of like the whole Jalen Hurts philosophy of like maybe Carson's playing a little bit like the thought in the back of his head of they drafted his replacement. So like what if you I don't know that you want to put it in Ben's head that like this guy is here to play point guard because we don't believe that you can. So I think it's a tough spot to be in. I think you have to draft the best player available. So if that is Desmond Bane. Or sorry, if that is Cole Anthony, then yeah, I think that makes sense. But at the same token, I think the better fit is probably Desmond Bane because I think first and foremost the Sixers had to get back to where they were in 2017-18, and that was like even though they weren't like a great team, they were at least fun to watch and they were at least an interesting team. And I think getting spot up shooters like that. Is most important around Ben and Joel, and not like get an. I mean, a ball handler is important, but I think a situational ball handler rather than a dominant ball handler is what you need.
The really interesting thing about Desmond Bane and why he's such a good fit, he can score off ball, he can space the floor for Joel and Ben, but you look at it like this guy can also get buckets if necessary. Bane had 1.07 points per possession on jump shots off the dribble per synergy. So this guy is a clear fit. Like how many times were we screaming for a guy that could put the ball in the basket, and who knows what the roster is going to look like next year. So it would be I'd say it would be a very good pick for the Sixers if it went down. Yeah. Go ahead, Tiago.
I'll say, and also number 1 in the Big 12 in transition scoring. So he can not only do it in the half court, he can also run in transition. And you talk about playing with Ben. You want guys who are going to run, who are not going to stand around. So he fits exactly what this team needs for Joel and Ben for sure.
We have Boom Shakalaka joining us. Man, that is a terrific name, by the way. Brings me back to those 90s NBA Jam games. Oh, the best. Sixers and Cowboys fan here. The Sixers fan can stay. The Cowboys fan can go. But let's continue on to the comments. Is Desmond Bane more league ready than someone like Tyrell Terry? That's a great question. That is a really, really strong question. I think, anyone taking Tyrell Terry, probably you're going to have some growing pains with his size and his weight, and he's 6'3", right, Tiago?
First of all, he is 6'3", not 1 centimeter shorter than that.
Not 6'1",
that makes a difference. That apparently makes a huge difference.
The viewers aren't going to get it, but we get it.
Yeah, it's a little inside jokes there. Hi, Argentina. Thank you for joining, Esteban. So much. Thank you so much.
That's Sam Alu's brother. Is that Isaac Seumalo's brother?
Tyrell Terry at 21. Preach. It ain't happening. Oh my God. Here we go, Tiago. It just became a party. Boston Superfans.
It's my man.
Who is the Jason Tatum of this draft, Tiago?
Who is the Jason Tatum of this draft?
Yeah, this draft only has good players in it.
Who are the
Boston has like 20 picks in the first round, so I'm sure we'll find out very soon here.
That's hilarious. Speaking of, last night my cousin and I got into a heated debate, and my cousin and I never fight. We were screaming at each other in the middle of a restaurant last night because he said that Jaylen Brown was better than Ben Simmons, and I was like, objectively, I am appalled by that comment. Like you just don't watch.
What was his rationale?
It was basically just like Ben doesn't contribute to winning, and I was
did he watch the playoffs?
Yeah, I was like, how you gonna? I was trying to like keep my composure. Yeah. The ladies, the waitress is serving me cake because we were at like a dinner, for like a birthday dinner, and so I'm like here I am like this 24-year-old, and I always have to have milk with chocolate. So I'm drinking down this thing of milk. I have a milk mustache. I have chocolate on my face. I'm like going crazy. And my dad's like, "You're embarrassing the family as per usual. Could you please sit down?"
I am just upset we didn't record this last night because we went from hibachi to another restaurant. Like that, this needs to be a thing, Austin.
Yeah, man. The draft will be from like a Pizza Hut somewhere.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Let's roll on to we got some comments here. Real quick. Boom Shakalaka says, I feel like we will likely trade up for any of Bane, Cole, or Terry. But the thing is, Daryl Morey hasn't had a first-round pick since 2014. I would love to trade up for Tyrell Terry, but I don't know how far he falls. Like, do you guys think he could go in the top 10? Any chance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there is like some level of belief that there is like on his best day, he can become Jamal Murray.
I like that.
And so I think seeing after what we just saw in the bubble, from Jamal Murray, that can sort of help his stock. I think the same thing goes for a guy like what is it? Onyeka Okongwu. Like we saw Bam Adebayo elevate his game in the bubble. And I think that's going to help Onyeka because people compare him. They see those similarities. So I think a guy like Jamal Murray could help boost Tyrell Terry's draft stock to some extent. It wouldn't shock me if he went before 21. I don't think you'd see Bane go before 21.
No.
Yeah, and you saw how impactful Tyler Herro was for the Miami Heat. So guys that can fly off screens and space the court, man, that's like it right now, right, Tiago?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with Tyrell though. Like he was playing at 165 in college, and most of his game was predicated in spot up transition scoring. So I like to see him be more active off the ball and coming off screens, things of that nature. And I think that's what teams are going to want out of him if they see him as like a top 10 pick. They're not just going to get him as top 10 and be like, yo, just sit in the corner and shoot 3-pointers. Like they're going to want a lot more dynamic from him as a shooter. So I think he can definitely get there. If you saw his combine numbers, like the athletic numbers are pretty legit. So I think it's definitely there with the weight and the athleticism. So
we have Matt McGinty joining from the Faithful Fanatics podcast every Wednesday night here at the Painted Lines YouTube channel, 5:30. Make sure you subscribe and watch the Faithful Fanatics podcast, Faithful Fanatics 2 or Faithful Fans 2, I think, on Twitter. Thanks for joining, Matt. He says, I need Saddiq Bey to be a Sixer. That's another lottery pick. But I would love Saddiq Bey. I know Austin would love Saddiq Bey on the Sixers.
I did not say that.
You don't want Saddiq Bey?
I don't want him, but I don't have this like bias towards him because he's a Villanova guy. I think he'd be a good fit. It'd be cool to have him there. It isn't like there aren't better players out there or there aren't other options to look at as well. I think he's going to go earlier than 21. I mean, he shot like above 45%, I think, from three this year, and that was like led all of college basketball, and he was like getting catch and shoots from beyond NBA range. Mm-hmm. So I mean, he's clearly elevated his game this year. There obviously are some questions about his athleticism and his ability to like move left to right, which will hurt as a defender in the NBA. But I think he's certainly somebody who is who will benefit from maybe a not as strong draft class as maybe he would next year.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you a question. Sorry, like what can you get out of Saddiq Bey that you can get out of like an Isaiah Joe in the second round?
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, man, I don't disagree with that. I think a lot of that has to do with like exposure, because I mean, maybe you plug Isaiah Joe in Villanova and he's a first round pick. Right. Whereas Isaiah Joe, at Arkansas, whatever he was, you're not getting that exposure necessarily. Mm-hmm. So I think that can affect it. Again, I'm not saying that that like Saddiq is or isn't better than whoever you want to like bring into the conversation. I just think that the stats speak for themselves. I mean, he wasn't any kind of fluke from three. He was attempted volume every game from well beyond 3-point range in college and dipping into NBA territory. He also doesn't need a ton of space. He's catching off of the catch with guys like within like a foot of him. He's knocking them down. He can also get to that little mid-range area, and I think he kind of reminds of like Tobias a little bit, maybe a more so Chris Middleton like player. I hope his agent gets him as much money as their agents got them. But I mean, I think he's definitely going to benefit from maybe not the strongest class for sure.
All right, let's keep this rolling and move to the second round. NBA burner account joins. Thanks for joining, man. Tyrell Terry reminds him of CJ McCollum. Also, if the Sixers do draft, how do you get rid of Al Horford? That is a great question. But for the sake of time, we're already 20 minutes into this thing.
Pre-draft trade. Count your days.
There's probably a really good chance that the Sixers selection is not for their team when draft happens. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's go on to number 34. I've got Isaiah Joe at the top of the second round. I'm taking the best shooter. I've got Desmond Bane. I'm going to just continue the shooting train and take Isaiah Joe. He's been my top target. We've talked about this ad nauseum, guys, for the second round for a long time. And I don't mean to change that now. It was a tale of two seasons for Isaiah Joe last year. He started the season shooting 35.8% from deep. The first 16 games, Arkansas was 14-2. The Razorbacks then finished 5-5. He shot 31.3% during that span. So this guy is obviously one of the best shooters in the class. He's a guy that can pull up from three. He can thrive in the catch and shoot. He's got like a 6'10" wingspan. But yeah, great pull-up shooter. He's a space creator, 89th and 97th percentile pull-up shooting, space creating. So I'm going Isaiah Joe. Tiago, are you gonna like piggyback off of that a little bit?
Man, I love Isaiah Joe. I would take him in the second round in a heartbeat. I do think it's a little bit redundant with Desmond Bane and Isaiah Joe, so I would take one or the other. I wouldn't take both.
Okay.
If we think about like what Doc wants to bring to the offense, you know, it's going to be a more heavy pick and roll offense. There's no doubt about that. If you just follow his teams with LA, and I do think like he's going to try to run some pick and rolls with Ben, obviously, but he's probably going to want to look at a guard that can kind of either come in and run some of that right away, or he can groom and maybe 1 or 2 years perhaps step in some sort of backup role in that regard. So I know you mentioned like we don't want guys who are very inconsistent shooters on this team, but there is one guy who is a very, very inconsistent shooter in Devon Dotson.
Yep.
And he is a absolute joy to watch, man. Like this guy, 2 years at Kansas, one of the main reasons why they were constantly a top program these last 2 years. And I mean, a supreme downhill athlete. I mean, if you watch him against elite competition, so we're talking about Big 12 here. We're not talking about some small school prospects, and going after guys, consistently putting pressure on the rim. He's a high efficiency finisher at the rim. So a guy with good balance, strong, can take contact and finish at the rim. He's small now. So again, he's a smaller point guard, but you watch him play, there's nothing small about his game. I mean, he can defend guys. He can, anchor defensively. Obviously, he's not going to take on, LeBron James in the perimeter, but against some of those stronger guards, he can absolutely take those guys on one-on-one. Again, the question is his shooting going to translate? I think he came at, if I'm not mistaken, he's like around like 33% three-point shooter, career three-point shooter. And his volume did tick up a little bit this year, which is a good sign. I mean, 82% free throw shooter as well, which is somewhat of an indicator that there's a shot there behind his game. But again, I'm looking for explosion off the dribble. I'm looking for a guy who can create for others off the dribble. And in the second round, he's the guy for me without question.
I also had him at number 49, though. So I was hoping maybe he falls a little bit because of his size, all that stuff. But yeah, you nailed it, man. Pick and roll offense. This guy's a really good pick and roll ball handler. 0.97 points per possession, including passes last year. Really quick feet, great explosiveness. I know he's small, but the dude averaged four boards per 36 minutes. So like he's durable too. He's only missed one game. So we got a guy. We'll bring in a guy that can stay healthy and really put pressure on the defense. And this is like what I did his video today for the YouTube channel. And all I ever thought about during this video was how fun this guy would be, watching the Blue Coats run a pick and roll offense and just let him fly. He would be really fun to watch. Let's throw it to Austin. You're up, dude. You're up, man.
I gotta go with my guy, Emmanuel Quickley.
Yeah.
I'm very high on Emmanuel Quickley. He was one of the best shooters in the country, both off the catch and off the dribble. He shot over 60% from three away from Kentucky. So he's going into hostile territory. He's making shots. He's locked in. Underrated defender for his size, can move pretty well off ball. Fights over screens. He basically makes life, hell for whoever he's guarding. Also chases guys off screens really well. Good movement shooter that has like decent shooting gravity. Can sort of play off the dribble and get to like a mid-range spot. I see a little bit of Bradley Beal in him. I think that's like him on his like ideal path. But I think he's a really, really he's a guy that you can use in a variety of ways and get something that's effective out of him. And I think he's just really good coming off of I think he's just really good coming off of like pin downs and off of screens and getting downhill and then making plays. And so I'm very high on Quickley. I think probably higher on him than others are.
I like Quickley. Do you like Quickley?
Most.
Tiago?
I love him. And do you think he will be there though, Austin, at second round, early second round? Because there's talks about him going to the first, even like mid first.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to fix this draft.
All right, let's roll on to number 36. I've got Grant Riller. It's no secret the Sixers need shot creators, and Grant Riller could that be that like Lou Williams, sweet Lou, off the bench. Is a guy that can score at 3 levels. He's got some polish as a combo guard. His shooting numbers aren't there, kind of like Devin Dotson. But yeah, 21.9 points per game the last 2 seasons. So he's not this elite 3-point shooter, but I already got that with Desmond Bane. I already got that with my man Isaiah Joe. I just like this guy's potential, especially in the pick and roll. Catch and shoot 41% in catch and shoot threes for Grant Riller. So per synergy. So I love the potential pick and roll combo of a Grant Riller, Ben Simmons type of pick and roll. Getting him at number 36 would be an absolute steal. You guys tell me, Tiago and Austin, I really like this guy's fit. I think Grant Riller, Isaiah Joe is like bang, bang. Lead us off, Austin.
I think Grant Riller's floor is Jimmy Butler, and then his ceiling is like an actually good player. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Here comes the Miami fan.
I'm totally kidding. What I would say is, number one, you can't underestimate the fact that he is arguably the best finisher in this class. At the rim, a very dynamic, can go either left or right. Can really split a pick and roll and get all the way to the rim around defenders. Can create from the mid range. He really is what you want. My only concern would be that you have to wait the level of competition he played against. I don't know how that translates to an NBA level court when you're playing College Charleston and you're playing that conference. But I am high on Grant Riller from what I've seen. NBA burner count. This is why I wanted to address this. I'm not saying that let's not get this confused. Let's not get this confused. I hate when people do this. I'm not saying he's going to be Bradley Beal. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you look at his ceiling and you look at the possibilities, there is a world where that's like, okay, he can become that guy. I see some Bradley Beal in him. I don't think he's going to become that. I'm just saying that's his ceiling.
All right, Tiago, you're up.
Riller, right? You said it was your pick, Chris. I am obviously second round. You take him, no questions asked. But I am not as high on Grant Riller as you are. Forget the level of competition because I think the athleticism is going to translate in some capacity. When I watched him play, I saw a guy with very limited passing vision, pretty much a straight line drive.
Alec Burks.
Exactly. That is exactly the name that came to my mind when I was watching him play. And is Alec Burks, kind of a replacement level player, perhaps a little bit above that? Yes. So a second round, that's probably good value. But, what is going to be his role here in Philadelphia? He's not going to be this kind of downhill player, creator kind of thing. So I kind of wonder what his path here will be. But again, second round, you take him and you go with it.
His path is to get a bucket. That's his path.
Yeah. I'm not sure he's going to be that as efficient at the rim in the NBA as he was at College of Charleston, but who knows? For me, it's about at some point you got to start thinking about guys who you can draft and develop and not necessarily going to come in and play right away. You're just not going to have all those minutes to give out, assuming that you make, say, 2 picks in the draft. So I started going through the names that are out there, and for me, it's like a no-brainer. I mean, to me, if Cassius Stanley is sitting there in the second round, right, you have to take this guy.
Definitely.
I mean, the athlete of the draft, period. 44-inch vertical.
Who is this?
Just screams potential. Cassius Stanley from Duke.
It's like Jason Tatum, but if Jason Tatum were a good player. Yeah.
Right. If Jason Tatum could jump above, 5 inches.
The question is how
if
many
Jason Tatum didn't get rejected by the rim by Bam Adebayo, that's what he would be.
The question is how many slam dunk competition championships for Cassius Stanley? Not 1, not 2. He's nuts. He jumps.
Just on that alone is worth it. If you're gonna draft a future NBA dunk champion and he's gonna see 6s across his chest, then to me that pick is 100% worth it. 50% of his possessions came in transition and spot up, right? So right off the bat, this guy has no dribble. period. He's your classic, like, scheme type player. He needs, to thrive. So the question, the goal here with drafting him is you draft him and you develop him specifically that dribble, because if that dribble does come around, then you're talking about this steal of the NBA draft, because the shooting fundamentals are there. I think it was in the something like in the 90th percentile in spot up shooting. So there's some good, strong fundamentals there with Stanley. So you draft him, send him down to Delaware, be like, yo, you're just going to run point guard and you're going to dribble, you're going to commit, 100 turnovers a game. I don't care.
Yeah.
But over time, hopefully we can get to a player that we can play and plug into the lineup. And, teams should be salivating at this guy. I'm telling you, man, this guy has high potential.
Look what they did with Mario Shayok. You saw Shayok running the pick and roll for the Blue Coats last year. So it's not like out of the realm of possibility. Like that is definitely possible. Let's go on to number 49. My pick was Devin Dotson. What's your pick, Austin?
Give me a J as in Jordan Wara. Jordan Wara.
I was waiting for that.
Jordan Wara. All over Jordan Wara, my guy. I love Jordan Wara. Comes off a screen, just so crisp. He is like the guy that he is the Jody Meeks if Jody Meeks were actually good at basketball.
I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what to make of that.
Like this dude is unconscious. Just like he has the throw going. He pulls up from like 35. I think there's up from like 30 feet. He's like firing from like the mid area of like his chest. And you're like, how? You're like, what in the world?
I don't know if that's
all. It's all net. I love Jordan Wara. He can be perfect in that JJ Redick role. You don't really want him to do much besides shoot the ball. If you do that, you're probably not in a good position. You also don't want him to defend anything. If you can, you could like sub him out real quick after every shot he makes and like have him go to the end of the bench and come back in only for offense. But he's a great shooter. I am all over him. He would fit seamlessly next to Joel. If they can just get Joel, they can just convince Joel to set legitimate screens and hard screens. This guy would average like 36 points per game just coming off of Joel Embiid screens. I mean, it would be like people like, how do we defend this? This guy is like the greatest shooter. This guy is like Reggie Miller. If Reggie Miller didn't block Austin on Twitter.
We have my man Rob joining. COVID Rob tuning in. Who are the Sixers drafting boys? I think we all agreed. Desmond Bane in the first round. Bang, bang, bang. All three of us. Second round, top of the second round, Isaiah Joe, Emmanuel Quickly, I think, and Devin Dotson. Next pick, I agreed. I wanted Devin Dotson for this pick. Who am I missing? Guys?
Grant Riller.
Stanley.
Grant Riller. Oh my God. Yes, Grant
Riller.
Riller, a scorer combo guard. And now we're at pick 49. So actually, Tiago, you have a little bit on Jordan Wara because he dominated this combine, right?
Yeah, he was by far the best shooter in the combine. It wasn't even close. In the spot up three-point shooting, he was like another level.
That's
everything that you heard
MF
about Jordan
guy.
Wara from Austin, like scale it down by like 50%. Because
no, I only said he was Michael Jordan. What do you want?
he's good. He's not.
What was wrong about that? No, I'm kidding. No, I'm telling you, he is he's the best shooter in the class.
What is it, LaMelo Ball? LaMelo Ball is not coming to the Philadelphia 76ers.
he would hate it here. He would hate it here.
His name was LaMelo Johnson.
All right, Tiago, I'm sorry. Who are you taking with the 49th pick?
There's a guy who played at Creighton, right? So his name was Tyshawn Alexander, and he's not getting a lot of love, not getting a lot of talk. He is probably one of the most pro-ready guys that's going to come in the second round. Came from Creighton, so pro style offense. If you watch Creighton, they move a lot. There's a lot of ball movement. He understands, like, you're not just a stationary freaking statue when you're playing in the half court. So I'm excited about that. And I absolutely love his shooting potential. He has a high release off the catch. He shot in the He shot 6.5 3-pointer attempts per game over the last 2 seasons. Career 37% 3-point shooter. So high volume shooter, moderately efficient, and one of the best pick and roll defenders in the draft. Long, can move his feet. So again, we go back to talking about what Daryl Morey wants out of his players. He wants defensive fundamentals, guys who are versatile, and guys who can space the floor. And for me, he checks all 3 boxes. Tyshawn Alexander is a name who's going to be in their second round, and the Sixers should definitely take a look.
All right, we have Don White 43 joining. Thanks for joining, man. We said Marcus Howard and Elijah Hughes. Yay or nay, guys?
I like Marcus Howard. Marcus Howard. He's just too small.
Yeah,
I think he's too small.
He's a shooter.
Yeah, as long as you can just like park him in like the backcourt and let him pull from there, he shouldn't get blocked. He'll be fine.
It was a Celtic guy they drafted that all of Sixers Twitter went nuts over this guy.
Carson Edwards.
Yep. Let's go on to my Dixie Wrecked.
Just passed right over to Boston super fan.
we had it. Sixers will draft Tyrell Terry if he's available. Here we go. None of you guys think Trey should be a target. I like Trey Jones. I'm okay with it. I'm going to go with the guy at my next pick. I think number 58. But any of you, yay or nay on Trey Jones?
I would take him. I think he's going to be a plus defender.
Yeah.
The question is, can he shoot the ball? That's really the thing. If you can't shoot the ball at that size, you have absolutely no business on the NBA court. So
we've lost Austin. Pretty typical. Rob says, miss you guys. Get back. Oh, man. Please get healthy, man. He's fighting the COVID. He's got the entire family fighting.
He has it?
Yeah, man. He's hurting.
Pray up for Rob. Rob, we need you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm back to more important names.
Jordan Wara is second year Jason Tatum. There you go.
Get that guy out of there. See what you did, Austin. You created this aura around Jordan Wara.
Matt McGinty says Tyshawn Alexander is Jay Wright's worst nightmare.
Yeah. Right. Watch that Villanova Creighton game. He put Sadiq Bey on lockdown. Like Sadiq didn't go anywhere that game. So
all right, let's go on to number 58. Mine, I've got a point guard here. I'm going Peyton Pritchard for the Sixers at the bottom of the second round. I'm looking for a guy who doesn't quit. There's a guy that plays with a chip on his shoulder. The Sixers lacked toughness last year, and I think Peyton Pritchard could, have some tangibles. Maybe we're talking about a guy who's the last bit of the second round. This guy's a dog. He's a leader. He's got terrific IQ on the court. I said I wanted ball handlers. Peyton Pritchard is a really good one. Yes, he's not explosive, but this is a guy that kind of has that I'm not saying he's Chauncey Billups, but he kind of has a changeup in his game. We're comparing guys like crazy. Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler, Chauncey Billups.
The cops are flying high. Back in the second round, we found Chauncey Billups.
I didn't say that, Tiago. I didn't say that. But this guy doesn't turn over the ball. He's a really good shooter, 41% from three, 212 attempts last season. So, Peyton Pritchard, the new TJ McConnell. I missed myself some TJ. What about you, Tiago?
There's actually buzz that he may go in the first round, Chris. So that gives you an idea what scouts to think of him. Yeah. Between him and Cassius Winston, the point guard of Michigan State, there's a lot of buzz around them possibly going in the first round, which is wild. I mean, Peyton was one of the most productive college players last year, but not quite sure I'm there yet. I'm going to go sentimental. I'm a Penn State grad, Penn State alum. Watching Penn State now lose 35-7 to Maryland. It's a beautiful day. I think they've been outscored by 100 points the last two games.
Fire James Franklin. Fire James Franklin.
He may have to go. Lamar Stevens, man. Lamar Stevens. You're gonna look at the numbers and you'll be like, why do I need to draft Lamar Stevens?
Right? I love Lamar Stevens.
Below average. Austin can give you some more insight on Lamar Stevens in a minute.
I actually got to defend him during our high school warm-ups all the time. I was his personal, I guess you could say, I was his personal bench teammate. So,
You made him. You raised his draft stock, right? Or his
listen. All the jumpers he made that were contested is because of me. I was the one defending him during warmups. Okay.
We need if we need to do like some sort of like
a reunion
prediction.
Need to do a reunion with me and Lamar. Just
Austin, when we predict who gets taken in the lottery, and if I have more picks than you, you have to put that in your Twitter bio. Professional bench assistant.
I can't fit anymore. I have too many accomplishments in my bio.
Okay. All right. You're up, Austin.
Yeah, I was gonna go Lamar Stevens as well.
Cool.
I think he'd be an excellent fit with the Sixers. Can play 3, 4. Really, really athletic. The jumper needs some work, but I think he is a really nice fit. Somebody, somebody who can provide you high energy off the bench. And I think there's that he's a worker. He works hard. He can develop, and I think he's a hustler. And he's above all else, I think he's someone who's passionate about getting better. And that's huge. And I mean, by all accounts, whenever we went to the gym for practice, he was already there. He was staying late, getting shots up, super hard worker. And I think he'd be a really good fit, for sure.
Awesome. Matt McGinty from the Faithful Fanatics podcast, check him out, says Lamar Stevens did not get a chance to make his run. His stock would be higher if PSU got to go to the tournament. Any reaction to that, guys?
Yeah, I mean, he's a winner, man. Like, Penn State's program was up when he left, and it was mostly because of him. Like, he took that program from nothing, and they were consistently competing in the Big Ten when he left. That's legit. Absolutely.
I also would like to say that I think he's a high character individual too, because if you think about like that whole thing with Pat Chambers, he could have easily sided with his teammates and said like, yeah, this is true. He stood up for what he believed in and said, no, this isn't right. Like, I never had this experience with this coach. So I think he's a high character individual for sure.
All right. So this last question before we do plugs, I'm going to do an over under with you guys. Over under. The Sixers right now have 5 picks. Daryl Morey's in town. How many picks do the Sixers end up in this draft? I'm going to set the over under at 2.5. You're up, Austin.
Over.
Oh,
interesting. What about you?
I think they'll use 3.
All right, Tiago.
I think they will use 2. I think they're going to draft one guy that they can maybe plug in, and one guy they're going to stash either in the G League or overseas. But a guy you're not even going to hear his name next year. So 2.
All right.
Anžeļs Pašišņiks Part 6.
Yeah, God, no. Oh man, I still have nightmares of like Jackson Frank, or I think it was no, it wasn't Jackson Frank. Who was the dude that Pavorsky tweeted out like the eyeballs, and that was like the precursor to that trade happening. And I just remember just going like, who the hell is Pasekniks? Like it was like just the most
Pasekniks. Yeah.
Go back to that draft and look at all the names they passed up. It will make you want.
What's ironic is that he has had a better NBA career than Markelle Fultz has had.
Oh,
yeah, that is true.
Shots fired. All right, let's do plugs. You're up, Austin.
I have an NBA column coming out later tonight, early tomorrow, saying that basically we've downplayed just how chaotic it's going to be in the next couple weeks in the NBA. So buckle up. I have my report on. What is his name?
Theo Maledon.
Yes. Theo Maledon. That'll come out soon. I don't think we're gonna have a podcast tomorrow because we already recorded one late this week. But yeah, just gear up. Hopefully, I'll be taking over the beat for Jason, so we'll see where that goes. But those are my plugs. Oh, and also, I don't want to name names, but someone was the first to the Sixers New Jersey report.
Who could that be?
I don't know.
So Ben really designed that jersey?
He was big in it. He was very integral in that design for sure.
Does he have like an artistic background, or he was just giving out pointers?
Like I don't know. I mean, I think he's been very passionate about this fashion wear, and I think he wanted to have a role in that.
Cool.
It's cool.
Maybe that could be a future. Let's go to Tiago. Plugs.
Yeah, we're just keeping an eye on the combine here, wrapping up. So we're probably going to release another article that talks about more combine winners, more combine losers, guys who are really crushing it and guys who are not. You guys got a little bit of a glimpse. We talked about some guys, and Jordan Nora, obviously, as the big name. But there's a lot of different names that are popping out here in the combine, so look out for that. And then the draft coming up the following week.
And make sure, if you're a Sixers fan, make sure you go to paintlines.com. Check out Tiago's comprehensive Sixers draft guide. So much information there. Paintlines.com. For myself, I've been really just kind of focusing on crushing these videos. I did 2 today. I did Isaac Okoro, really kind of fun prospect. That video, I'm not going to lie, makes him look like the next legend in the NBA. It looks great. It's fun when that kind of happens.
Well, you made Dotson look like Kemba Walker.
Yeah,
I was not impressed by Okoro. I was very down on him.
Okay, yeah. But Devin Dotson also, like, I've done like 30 of those. So go on the Painted Lines YouTube channel, go to playlists, click NBA draft, and there's like 30 video scouting reports there. Check them all out, and then check out all of my man's Austin and Tiago's scouting reports over at thepaintlines.com. We've been crushing this. And then last thing, I took off work for the NBA draft. You did too, right, Austin? PTO, baby. And a lot of drinking, a lot of talking about the draft. I cannot wait. A lot of food. It's going to be fantastic. What about you, Tiago? You going to jump on that bandwagon?
Of course. I'll definitely at some point for sure.
We should do an all-day podcast. Just StreamYard the entire day.
100%.
I got to pay the bills, but I'll definitely jump in at some point.
All right. Make sure you follow all our guys here. Make sure you subscribe to the Painted Lines YouTube channel. Thank you, everybody who joined the comments today. We're fantastic. For Austin, for Tiago, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.